Welcome, viewer, to yet another episode of Radiant Homes. We are glad you are joining us yet again. My name is Diane Owino.
And I am Andrew Owino. Today we are in powerful colors, royal colors.
And I'm glad you're able to sit down with me today because the last time you walked out on me and I didn't feel very happy.
I hope you are not going to raise the same issue again.
Of course, that is where we are starting because we've got to resolve every single conflict. Now, the last time we told you about our conflict that I didn't like it. I wanted to spend time with him at night and he was on phone. What I didn't tell you is the background to that conflict that day.
Sometimes background is important.
Now you see, we woke up in the morning, we were going for ministry, and I asked him, please carry the HDMI cable. And he ignored my advice and said, the hotel is going to have a HDMI cable, let's just go. While when we arrived at the hotel, of course, they didn't have a HDMI cable, and we struggled a lot to get another HDMI cable, and I reasoned, if only he listened to me. Why won't he listen to me? And come the evening, I tell him, your friend has been looking for you. Please call him. He's come to the house thrice to look for you. You've traveled so many times, and all the times he's come, he's not found you. Please look for him or just pass by his house right now. And what did you say?
Well, you want to hear my part of the story? You see, earlier in the day, we had already left the house. And a little distance. It was a hassle to go back just to pick an HDMI. In any case, I asked whether there would be a HDMI at the venue. Mm-hmm. I also thought, it's a hotel, how can they not have? And of course, you yielded easily and you said, let's just go. But you see, at that point, I felt like I don't want to go back. Mm-hmm. But I wish I also just allowed myself to yield. I would have learned later that it doesn't cost much. The hassle we went through to look for a HDMI, to do the presentation, I don't want to tell you, I wish I listened. But now in the evening, really now back to the evening. You see, now we are driving back home. I am going a little in a hurry. We've not been at home. I want to check. I am concerned. I want to be at home in a week's time. I want some procedures to be set at home. And so you are telling me to go look for another friend. Am I Red Cross? Huh?
He's your friend. You don't look for friends because they're Red Cross.
No, like I didn't understand why I should look for him in the evening.
Now, my issue is that I felt like he doesn't listen to me. Mm-hmm. And that makes me feel like, either you think I don't think about things, or you think that you're so wise, you can't be advised by your wife.
No,
so
baby,
in the evening...
No, baby, that is not what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I understand how you feel about me refusing just because of refusing. At that point, I didn't have all the time to explain all that I was feeling and what I needed to do at that time. Mm-hmm. But I think it was wrong for me to just shrug that request because there was something reasonable to it, which we'll talk about towards the end of the show, which I deliberately ignored. It means that when you ignore somebody's influence over you, there is a negative effect.
Exactly. And so in the evening, he was simply on phone to avoid having this conversation.
This fight has not ended. I thought it's over.
And so in every conflict, there is always a background conflict. And behind the background conflict, many times, it's a struggle of power.
In fact, the background comes to the foreground where now there is a back and forth. Mm-hmm. Somebody tries to take power, another one tries to retain power. Mm-hmm. So maybe we need to ask, what are the things where people struggle? People have power struggles about in their homes.
Sometimes people have power over money.
Yeah.
Where if you're the one who brings all the money
I make all the money, I make all the decisions.
So you can't tell me anything.
I sleep in the middle of the bed, you sleep candle. I decide where we go for holiday, you follow. Mm-hmm. I decide which clothes you wear, and that is not good
or
for
where the
family.
Children go to school just because I'm the one paying fee.
Friends, let me tell you, God has a way of shifting power. Today you might be earning, tomorrow it will be whoosh. So is it important then to share power even financially?
Power sharing is important.
And how do we do that?
How we do it
Financial?
is there is no my money and his money.
There is we money.
There is our money. So every money we earn belongs to
we.
To both of us.
Yeah.
And whatever we spend on is open to the other one.
And pre-decided. We have a lesson coming up later on financial conflicts, but I think it's good to mention that when a family agrees on the precedence of earning and sharing, and then the precedence of planning and spending, then there won't be a conflict. You bring all your money, brings all our money, 10% is tithe. It doesn't matter. 15% is shopping. It doesn't matter who does the shopping. So that is one of the ways you can share power. And what if the other person does not work?
Even if the other person does not work or earn physically,
yes.
there is work that goes on at home, which sometimes you may not quantify in terms of money, but it is literally work. So don't treat the other person who does not work like they don't earn, so they should have no say.
So we still want to ask them what they think.
Yes.
And that's a good biblical principle. In fact, there is a story in the Bible where this woman gets a miracle of oil, but the prophet says, you must close the doors. You must close the doors upon you and your sons. But also that story trickles from the husband borrowed money, made a financial decision, and didn't involve the wife. But later the wife is involved in payment. Somehow in the life of a marriage, in the life of a family, there will come a point where if you held financial power, it will be taken from you, and the other person will be required to give an account, either to pay the loan. And so you would want to be one who shares the details of where your finances are. You want to involve them in the decision. Is there another place where people fight in terms of power struggles?
Yes, so people express power dynamics in parenting and how you handle children. There could be parents who feel like their parenting style is better than their spouses. Yeah?
You must be hard on children. You must beat every child.
Exactly. And the other one feels you're easy go, so you are not a very good parent.
How do you share that? How do you share power? Let's say you have had a conflict on that. The child is here, somebody feels must be punished, the other one feels go slow.
Agree. And if you must disagree, don't do it in the presence of your children. And if you have to disagree with their parenting styles, you may want to discuss it separately, but also don't turn away the hearts of the children away from one parent.
That happens a lot.
Yes, you could have issues with your spouse, but do not let the issues of your spouse trickle down to your children. Because you see, children, their hearts being turned away from parents simply because of power dynamics.
Yeah, let's say
struggles.
now mommy now decides dad is hard on you children, I am the easy one, so I am the better parent. But you see, children see these things, and later that is what will get into them. So maybe if there is a conflict and you don't agree with the other person, express your opinion and also show that you have understood what is the concern of the other parent. He's saying be easy on the children. There's a concern on that. Also, the other one is saying be strict on the program. There's a concern. So the more you are able to yield, we are going to come to how to yield. But there could be one more thing, and there are many other things where people can fight.
So
maybe children's education.
Yeah, people have power dynamics on education where one person feels I have a PhD.
Okay.
Do you remember a fight we had while in campus? We were still dating then. And he would, to every problem, he would say, I'm an engineer. Every problem he would say,
of course.
I'm an engineer.
Wait. Engineers have solutions.
To everything.
You know, there's an old joke of what is the oldest profession? You know, there was doctors sitting, engineers sitting, and of course lawyers. And the question was posed, which is the oldest profession? And the doctors the lawyers, they started speaking fast, as they always do.
What did they say?
Law is the oldest profession. And he said, when the man sinned, the first judgment was a legal issue. Then the doctor corrected, no, it is medicine. When Adam was made to sleep, and there was surgery, and Eve was created. And then the engineer was like, you guys, wait. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. And that is electrical engineering. It's possible for someone to feel they are ahead of the others because of their learning.
Exactly.
And that is a power struggle that happens in many homes because we don't sit in the same class.
Exactly. And so one time I asked him, when he told me, I'm an engineer, we are taught to solve everything.
Every problem.
I looked at him, then I asked him, so, did you get a first class? Were you the best in that class? And even if you were you the best in all the universities? Okay, and even if you were you the best in the world? And that was just to show that you could be the best in your field of education, but you don't know everything. And you could have even children who are uneducated can teach you something. So don't act like you know everything, and because you know everything, you have a PhD, you have every other thing, you can't be told.
Power struggles continues. Even those of you who have in-laws, there is a power struggle that can come because somebody wants your attention, your affection, and they are checking. Are you really on the side of this guy or on the side of this guy? Every one of us knows that there is power struggles always in the family and many, many other things.
I'm sure there are other things that cause power struggles. And right after the break, I want to invite you to join us as we continue with power dynamics. How do you learn influence in your home? How do you share power in your home?
And how do you communicate that you have understood the other person, that you have taken them into consideration in your planning, in what you call your power? Let's see that after the break. Welcome back. The struggle continues. This is Radiant Homes. If you've been following these conversations, we're trying to help with areas of communications that are ignored in making a home effective and working. And one of them is power struggles. We have seen that somehow every relationship is unbalanced. We're never at the same level. Adam was created ahead of Eve, and there is always a authority line of relationship. A child, however old, cannot become older than the parent. So there's always going to be power somewhere. But we looked at finances causing power struggles. We looked at decisions. We looked at parenting. There is one more thing that causes power struggles that we must talk about on decision making. I think as I've mentioned it, it comes into my mind. How do we arrive at decisions as a home?
There are homes where only one person makes all the decisions.
Enda ulize baba yako.
Exactly. Without the influence or the input of the others. And sometimes it becomes difficult, even at critical points, like at the hospital where consent needs to be given. I have seen some mothers losing babies because they've not yet been trained on how to have the power to make the decision. For example, you as a mother require a cesarean section done, and you're of sound mind, and you've been told this is an emergency. Then you're like, hold on a minute.
Lazima tuulize mzee.
Mzee has to decide. Mzee has to decide. And Mzee is several kilometers away from there. Time is ticking. Mzee can't give his input immediately. And so you're left there deciding whether to do a cesarean section or not because you don't have the power to decide. And the power to decide comes with different things. There are tools for decisions, like money.
Yeah, money is a tool for decision, but knowledge also is a tool. We don't talk about money.
Exactly,
about
money
knowledge.
and knowledge.
Yeah.
You can't be the only one going to school in your home. You can't be the only one going to school in your home. Where if you're doing a master's, let your spouse also.
There's a country we went to and the men said, awa mama ukiwapeleka shule, madharau utaonyeshwa.
Yeah, I still remember that country. And we were in shock because the men had studied and the women had not gone to school. Let whatever knowledge you have also compare with the others in the family. Yeah.
Well, decision making really anchors on knowledge. You see, there's a first level where you are unaware and you are incompetent. You don't know and you can't do. You don't know and you can't do. Then you gather knowledge. So now you know, but you still can't do. You have to struggle a little bit to pull things up, to let things be known, to be done and things like that. But you move towards, as you keep trying, you move towards, we call it now, you know and you do.
Yeah.
But we want to go to a point where you unconsciously do. So even in power struggles, there are points where we think that we are the husbands of the home. Kumbe, we are old type husbands. The emotional intelligent husband is aware that his child can contribute to something he doesn't know. You know, today one of the highlights as of this recording was the rampant cases of sexual molestation in schools. Suppose your child comes home and tells you, "Daddy, I don't want that school." Then you start displaying power. Mimi nimesema uende hiyo shule, mimi nilikutafutia hiyo shule, and you don't even want to listen. And we talk to this school going student. It could be that they are going through something that you don't know. So if you allowed your child to express, if you allowed your wife to explain what they are going through, the process of decision making can still be the same decision, but you have grown much more in understanding.
Exactly. And people need money to make decisions.
That's true. The means of
decision. And that's why it's important to teach even young people how to make the money, how to access money should anything happen to any of you. Yeah, they should be able to access reasonable
or if
money.
They get lost, how do they, find their way home? Or maybe you've left your home and you've gone to work. Those people, house managers, can they make certain decisions to an extent, because sometimes maybe they'll just look at a child suffering, choking to death because they don't know. So in empowering people, you are actually what we're called yielding to win. Let's talk about that now. How do we yield power to win?
Okay. I was just thinking before that, I was thinking about in-laws.
Okay.
Before yielding power.
Yeah.
Because the area of in-laws is one area where there are a lot of power struggles.
And we always feature in-laws here because it's an important concept to deal with.
Yeah, you could be going home and your mother-in-law wants to show you who's in charge in this home. Who is in
power? I am the one in charge of my son's pockets.
Yeah. So they might want to show they are the one in charge of both the pockets and the decisions, and that the wife is just a nobody in that home. Or it could be vice versa. It happens in different homes. I use the mother-in-law as a generalization.
Yeah, it can be uncle.
But it can be uncles. It can be anyone, really, because power struggles exist in this. And one of the ways to build power is knowing how to choose the two of you over your in-laws,
over everything else.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example to go and do at home. Suppose your wife makes dinner, and at the same time your mom calls you to go out with her for dinner.
Or I have cooked your favorite meal.
Let's say your wife has cooked at home and your mother in the same city calls you out. Where do you go? Well, while you find the answer to that, you will realize that there is a big power struggle to that decision. But building power means you choose, like you said, us over every other person. That you also want to involve them. They also have to grow to become to your level.
And also, in terms of how you write property.
Right.
And the next of kin. Sometimes when people die, that's when you realize, these guys did not solve power issues in their home. You're married, but your next of kin is your mother.
Allah.
Yeah? So should anything happen to you, you find the power struggle will be between wife and mother. Because whoever you've written there is your mother-in-law. And I like asking, in terms of documentation, you need to order your home. You know, before Hezekiah, when Hezekiah was about to die, God asked him, please put your house in order. And putting your house in order also means documentation. Who is your next of kin? Is there likely to be a fight between, you know, your people and your nuclear family because you didn't sort out the power dynamics? Are your nuclear family able to access all the assets that you had? And being in the African setup, I'm sure you have seen this during funerals, where people now show up saying, I am so and so's son.
You're here.
And it begins a power struggle. When you're alive, put your house in order. Set the power right. If you have other children who are not known, let them be known. Let us know that, oh, by the way, he had other children. So as you distribute wealth, distribute it how? Equally, and distribute it well.
you think I have other children?
No.
Well, I'll tell you about that in the next session. But before we leave this session, we want to ask you, let me talk to men here. You will talk to the ladies, right? Do you think your wife makes sense? Can she say something reasonable mbele ya watu? I'm just asking.
Oh yeah, because there are men who don't allow their wives to even speak.
I'm just asking. Let me ask another question. Do you always win arguments? Is your way always the way or the highway? You know, some of these questions are important. Are you generally interested in what your spouse is thinking about the project? Do you initiate those questions? Do you ask?
Or like, for example, you know, there are people who go building a house. Then you as a wife, you're just told, surprise, I built a house for you. Well, I know there are wives who love surprises, but I know women also would like to be involved. They would want to say, hey, I want the size of my kitchen to be this big.
Do you even take time to win them over so that they see your perspective? Or once you've decided, kila mtu afuate? Well, it depends. We just want to let you know families operate differently, but in the area of power struggle, it is where you build a big influence with your family. Let your children know that you always are going to listen to their reasonable requests. Let's do an exercise here,
so like
that we can invite you to do at home. How to detect out of something that looks like somebody wants to gain influence over you, but you yield to win. How do you yield power?
So like the conflict we had.
Yeah, let's go back to it. I can see you can never have enough of that conflict. Let's get it again.
No, I asked him, please pass by your friend's house and just say hi to him or reach out to him now. He has looked for you 3 times before and you've been traveling all the time.
With power struggles, you can decide, she is nagging, she wants control over me, she wants to say what I'm supposed to do, but you can also look at the other side and say, there is a reasonable request to check out on your friends. So this is how I should have responded. I would have kept myself from a lot of heartache and I would have slept well that night. I would have said, okay, I understand you'd want us to visit with this friend. Is it possible we call him up and arrange the visit maybe for next Sunday? Because it's reasonable. Anything that your spouse is asking you is reasonable. Let's say your spouse gets angry at night and you have been sleeping, you've been sitting late
watching
on the couch watching TV, and then she starts to rant. You know, you are always on the bed and all that, and you never come. How would the wives do that? Can you try and do it? The guy is on the couch.
Would say something like, you're always watching TV very late and you come to bed all the time after I am asleep. So she comes to where you are and she says, please come to bed now.
Let me try and display power. Now you want to control me. You want to know. I will tell you I am the owner of this house. I sleep when I want. I'm watching my TV. I'm the one paying. That is called power struggle. But there is also it's called the emerging husband. even emerging wives. The intelligent couple, the husband can say, the reasonable request there is she wants to spend time with you. You can ask, would you give me maybe 2 or 3 minutes? I see how this game is ending, then I can join you. Or, something like that.
Yeah,
Can I do? It's called give and take. Can I come home? Can I come to bed very early tomorrow so that I finish this work I'm doing? Because sometimes it's something serious. So it's about sharing power, isn't it?
Yeah, or you could find another case, a wife who is asking a husband. The husband has to rush somewhere, but the wife at that point when you're rushing is a time when she's like, please take care of the kids for a few hours. I really need time alone. I need to go to the salon and just, have a good time. Please have the kids at this time.
When the husband is rushing, why? Why would you say that at that time when he's rushing?
Because I have been with the children the whole day. I have been with them the whole
But why wait until when he's rushing?
Because I also need a break.
Okay. I think we'll talk about that. That needs to be resolved next time. But friends, for today, I hope you can feel that your family is an important investment and they can engage in your decisions. That you can be part of them and they are part of you, that you can yield to their influence and just see yourselves growing together. You might not grow as fast. They say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with
people.
Family. And power struggles can really, really be a big issue in families. We hope you find a middle ground. The Bible says, consider each other.
And submit yourselves to one another.
Exactly.
And so we hope that you will be open to build power, to yield power. And how do you build power? You want to build one another financially, give one another financial access, give each other time and power to make decisions.
Give them your thoughts.
Give them your thoughts.
And with that, we'll see you next time.